A noun clause, also known as a complement clause, is a type of subordinate clause or dependent clause that acts as a noun in a sentence. In English, a noun clause starts with the relative pronoun known as complementizer. A noun clause is essentially a noun, and a complementizer is nothing but a subordinating conjunction that starts a noun clause. In this noun clause example, I knew that she would come. The noun clause that she would come acts as a single noun, specifically the direct object for the verb knew. Noun clauses are considered advanced Kazakh because they can get a bit confusing. So in this guide we cover the rules for how to build and use noun clauses correctly. But first, let's take a deeper look at the question, what is a noun clause? A noun clause gets its name because it is simply a clause that acts as a noun. A noun clause is any group of words that contains a subject and a predicate. But noun clause is a specific type of clause called subordinate clause or dependent clause. Subordinate clause cannot be used alone and need to join a main clause or independent clause. That means sentences with noun clause will always have at least two verbs, as they always have two clauses. Let's look at a noun clause example. Men onun kelgenini bilemin. I know that she has come. This sentence has two clauses, a main clause and a noun clause. The noun clause is onun kelgenini, that she has come. This clause work together as a single noun and include both a subject, onun, his or her, and the verb kelgenini. The subject, onun, is in the genitive case. The verb kelgenini combines the verb roots kel, to come, participle marker, gen, third person possessive suffix and the accusative case n. The main clause is men bilemin, I know, and it is subject is men, I, and it is predicate is bilemin, I know. The noun clause onun kelgenini is the direct object of the main clause men bilemin. Let's say the noun clause represents someone named Murat. We could write the first sentence as men Murat'ı bilemin, I know Murat. Essentially, the noun clause onun kelgenini replaces the proper noun Murat. The noun clause acts like a noun it represents but gives more detail by introducing a new verb into the sentence. Noun clauses completely replace individual nouns in a sentence, no matter how many words they contain. Let's look at the sentence without the noun clause. Men шындықты мойындадым. I confess the truth. The noun шындықты, the truth, is the direct object of the verb мойында, to confess. If you want to give more details, you can replace the noun шындықты with a more descriptive noun clause. So you can say, мен Murat'ты жақсы көрмейтінімді мойындадым. I confess that I don't like Murat. Not only do noun clause contain an extra verb for more details, they can also include other words like adjectives and adverbs. Notice how our new noun clause Murat'ты жақсы көрмейтінімді, that I don't like Murat, has its own verb жақсы көр, to like. This verb is different from the main clause verb мойында, to confess. The noun clause also contains the individual direct objects Murat'ты, which offers even more information. No matter how many words or phrase a noun clause contains, it is still acts as a single noun. Noun clauses are fairly easy to recognize if you know how to build them. To begin with, the subject of the noun clause is mostly in the genitive case. The predicate of them, if it is a verb, takes the participle suffixes ған, ген, қан, кен, or атын, етін, итін, итін, the possessive suffixes and the case markers. Let's look at the example. Ол сенің келгеніңді айтты. She said that you came. The main clause is ол айтты. She said, that occupy the initial and the last position of the sentence. The noun clause is сенің келгеніңді. that you came. The subject of the noun clause is сенің, your, that is in the genitive case, and the it is predicate is келгеніңді, where the verb kill to come takes the perfect participle marker ген, second person possessive suffix ың, and the accusative case the. These are different from the main clause's subjects all, she or he, and the verb it, to tell. The subject and the predicate of noun clause always agree with person and the number, as in the following example. Ол сендердің келгендеріңді айтты. She said that you came. Here the subject of noun clause is сендердің, you, second person plural. So in the predicate келгендеріңді, the second person plural possessive suffix дерің is used. If the subject of noun clause is мен, біз, ол, or олар, you must add the corresponding possessive suffixes after the participles. As for the use of cases after the noun clause predicates, in the sentence ол сенің келгеніңді айтты. She said that you came. The main verb it, to tell, is a transitive verb that needs an accusative direct object. So the accusative case the is added to the noun clause predicate kill, to come. The noun clauses and the main clauses either have same subjects or they can have their own subjects. For example, мен жеңіске жететініме сенемін. I believe that I will succeed. In this sentence, the main clause мен сенемін, I believe, and the noun clause жеңіске жететініме, that I will succeed, share a same subjects мен, I. However, if you say мен сенің жеңіске жететініңе сенемін, I believe that you will succeed. The main clause мен сенемін, I believe, has its own subject мен, I, and the noun clause сенің жеңіске жететініңе, that you will succeed, has its own subject сенің, you are, that is in the genitive case. Notice the different possessive ending in жететініме and жететініңе. Regarding the distinction between perfect participle ған, ген, қан, кен, and the present participle атын, етін, итін, or eaten, the perfect participle refers to the events happening in the past, while the present participle refers to the events that happens regularly or will happen in the future. For example, мен Мұраттың келгенін ұнатпадым. I don't like that Murat has come. In this sentence, the noun clause Murаттың келгенін, that Murat has come or came, refers to a past event that already happened. However, if you say мен Murаттың келетінін ұнатпадым, I don't like that Murat will come, then the noun clause Murаттың келетінін, that Murat will come, indicates a future-oriented event that will happen in the future. It should be noted that those two types of participle suffixes must be followed by the possessive and case suffixes. In addition, you also can negate the noun clause. In such case, the negative markers ma, me, ba, be, pa, be should be added immediately after the verb roots preceding the participles, possessive and the case markers. For example, оның жалған айтпағаны білініп тұр. It was obvious that she didn't lie. Мен оның бізді ұнатпайтынын білемін. I know that she doesn't like us. In these examples, the noun clause оның жалған айтпағаны, that she didn't lie, and оның бізді ұнатпайтынын, that she doesn't like us, are in the negative form pa. Noun clause can do anything a regular noun can do. That is, they can function as is subjects, direct objects, indirect objects, or predicates. Let's look at a few noun clause examples where the noun clauses function as subjects, direct objects, and the indirect object. The subject is the person or thing that does the action in a sentence. The subject normally stands at the beginning of a sentence. If a noun clause acts as a subject, it occupies the initial position, and the it is predicates is in the nominative case, i.e. without a marker, and thus the noun clause predicates only contains a participle and a possessive suffix. For example, оның кімді қолдайтыны маңызды емес. It's not important that whom she or he will support. мысықтың өлгені үшін. It is true that the cat has died. In these two sentences, the noun clauses are оның кімді қолдайтыны and the мысықтың өлгені function as subject to the main clauses. Moreover, they both have their own subjects оның, his or her, and the мысықтың of the cat. That are the third person, so their predicates қолдайтыны and the өлгені take the third person possessive suffix after the present participle, eaten, and again. These sentences with transitive verbs needs a direct object. They typically stand between the subject and the predicate. If a noun clause functions as direct object to the main clause, it comes between the subject and the predicate of main clauses. In this case, the predicate of noun clause takes accusative case suffixes. Example, зерттеулер қазір адамдардың кітап оқымайтынын көрсеткен. Studies show that nowadays people don't read books. Мен Мұраттың келгенін көрдім. I saw that Murat has come. In these sentences, the noun clauses адамдардың кітап оқымайтынын that people don't read books and Murаттың келгенін that Murat has come acts as direct object to the main predicates көрсет to show and көр to see. So their predicates оқымайтынын and келгенін take the accusative case marker n at the end. Noun clauses can act as indirect object to intransitive verbs. For example, мен сенің жалған айтпағаныңа сенемін. I believe that you didn't lie. Мен сендердің операны жақсы көрмейтіндеріңе қайран қалдым. I'm surprised at that you don't like opera. In these examples, the noun clauses сенің жалған айтпағаныңа that you didn't lie and сендердің операны жақсы көрмейтіндеріңе that you didn't like opera serve as indirect object to the main verbs сен to believe and қайран қал to be surprised and thus the predicates жалған айтпағаныңа and жақсы көрмейтіндеріңе takes the dative case a and e at the end. This video covered the basic introduction to the noun clauses in Kazakh. In the next one, we will learn more about it. Thank you for watching and see you soon.